bullying.com. Approximately 30% of young people admit to bullying others.
And here's the thing, bullying has gone high tech. Yeah. Kids are setting up fake Instagram accounts to bully kids. That's when I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me?
That's a punk move.
Yeah.
At least bullies of the olden times took responsibility for their bullying.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
You're hiding, you're a keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
And you're hiding. And it's you know what, and it's cowardice.
It is.
It's pure cowardice.
It absolutely is.
Right? Well, what can we do when we find out that it's our kid that's the bully? Oh, you know what? It's the biggest fear I think I have as a parent.
I think it's the reason why you shouldn't just walk in with the assumption of my child did, and then my mother she works at a school system, and that happens a lot. They've got cameras in the school, so the parent will come in all angry and be like, "You accusing my child of being a bully? My child's not a bully," and then they show the tape and they're like, "Oh yeah, I guess he did push that child.
Yep.
I'm gonna go talk to him." And it's interesting to me how much people don't necessarily believe that it's their kid.
Exactly.
Well, we put out a poll and asked you, if a kid is a bully, are the parents to blame? 81% said yes, and 19% said no.
That really is interesting to me because I don't know. I have seen and I have met not a lot of kids who have great parents, who are awful children.
This is my thing.
Who are awful kids.
There are awful children. Let's just say it. Okay, everybody, there are awful children. There are. Some are born awful. They're bad seeds. It happens.
And they can have great parents who care and who are engaged.
But often, it feels like you follow a bully home.
Yes.
And you find a bully.
Yes.
Or two.
Yes. Bullies do make bullies.
But it's just genetics. That's just science, people.
Yep.
We brought in a marriage and family therapist who deals with bullies and children who are bullied because she actually has knowledge and information, not just opinions. Please welcome Melody Parks. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Now, how do you deal with bullies in your practice?
Well, I try to figure out what is the cause of the bullying. And a lot of times people get triggered. What is the trigger?
Right.
So are you targeting a certain type of kid? Is it a certain race? Is it a certain ailment? Is it a certain size? Like, who are you targeting? And I think that's a really important thing to figure out. What is it? Where is it coming from? Is this kid being triggered in some way?
Right. My daughter recently told me about an incident where she bullied a kid 6 years ago. 6 years later, she told me about it.
She had the statute of limitations on that was
right. But she bullied a kid who had been bullying her, and I was so shocked to hear that my daughter, my angel, behaved in this way. And because
Your
it's
baby.
my baby doesn't do it. And she doesn't, right? But she did and has.
That happens a lot. It happens quite a bit where someone who was once bullied then becomes the bully. Once they get bigger and they start, you kind of switch things up a little bit. Where I got a little power, maybe I'm a little bit taller, and here we go. Now it's on.
I mean, there's a chance that sometimes maybe there's an influence in their life. I don't know who or what. They might say to somebody like your child, "You're 3 feet bigger than that child. Why are you taking that?"
Yeah.
That could have happened.
That may have happened. That may have happened. Do kids bully because of home life? That's what I feel like we all assume that.
In a lot of ways, yes. In many ways, yes. If there's a chaotic home life happening, or if kids see violence at home and they say, well, this is how you resolve things.
Yeah.
By intimidation, by violence, by yelling, by screaming. We model kids do what they see.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, kids do what they see. And if they see that's how problems are resolved, then that's what they're going to do in the streets, on the playground. That's what they're going to do. So, yeah.
And what if that isn't necessarily the case, but you find out your kid, much to your dismay,
right,
is a bully? What do you have any tips or any, what can you do? How can you approach this with your child?
I think the first thing to do is to not be defensive about it.
That's hard.
That's really hard.
Yeah,
don't be defensive. Because, our kids are a representation of ourselves out there in public.
Yes.
You definitely don't want to be defensive because you can't control everything they're doing when they're not around you. So I think don't being defensive is the best thing that you can start by. You can start by not being defensive.
Right.
But then you can also investigate. Figure out what's going on. Go to the tape if you need to.
Right.
If there's some evidence, talk to the teacher, talk to a counselor, talk to a principal, talk to the child that's been bullied. Find out if it is true what your child is involved in. And if it is true, then own it. acknowledge it and talk to your child about how they can better resolve issues, how they can better have empathy towards other people that are different from themselves.
You know what it seems like happens all the time is that, the parent who's, a decent parent who cares is going to show up and come to school because they heard their kid was bullying. You become embarrassed. You find out that your child is behaving outside of the norms that you have required from them, and then it seems like then the harsh punishment, the corporal punishment comes in. It's like, I've seen parents be like, well, I'm going to beat this bad behavior out of you. That's the way that they want to solve it. You bully kids, so I'm going to bully you.
Well, that's only going to perpetuate the behavior. You're just going to continue what you're trying to beat out of your child. The same thing is going to keep happening. I think it's important to take a step back and go, wait a minute, whatever I'm doing, maybe I should shift it and do something a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to know what people thought of this. So our Me Time Street team asked, what would you do if your kid was bullying people? Take a look.
I actually had have a girl who has that tendency, and it was hard to teach her, that she needed to be nice. And it wasn't that she was bullying people, it's that she had a little bit of a social issue going on with herself, and I had to teach her how to learn how to deal with that within herself.
Obviously, there's something deep down that they're wanting attention, that they're not getting themselves. And so I would go on a mad search to find what's in their heart, truly, so that they would not act out in that manner. And then, of course, make them apologize.
Melody, is it healthy for kids to act out?
To an extent, yes. And I had someone explain it to me this way. Have you ever been to a grocery store and you see a toddler or a little kid flipping out?
Yes.
Just going nuts.
I've been that person.
You've been that person. But, on the outside, think about it this way. This kid is expressing him or herself. They're putting it out there, and they're not repressing anything. They're not holding anything back. I need this. I'm saying I need this thing. Now, obviously, you need to curb that behavior, but there's something great about expressing yourself. But as the parent, it's your job to teach kids positive ways to express themselves.
Yes.
And that would be true for adults also, right? Like if they wanted to get their way, say someplace, they're throwing a weird fit and stomping their feet. That's not how we express ourselves.
I'm expressing!
No, but it's hard. This is what I also want to say. Like, in terms of parents, when you find out your kid is the bully, and this, like the woman said, the making them apologize thing. I have been on the receiving end of that fake apology. I can't tell you how many times. What do you think of that? Like, how can you make that meaningful?
Well, I think it's important to try to get the kid to understand that they need to be empathetic towards the situation that someone else could be going through. Fake apologies, you can see them coming a mile away.
I'm so sorry that I did that to you.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. It doesn't matter. So I think it's important to maybe try to get the kids together and maybe talk about what happened and what could be a better way to handle a disagreement or a difference. But a fake apology, because then kids will start just throwing that around, and it doesn't mean anything.
No,
it's insincere. So I think maybe trying to figure out a way that kids can come together in a way that is, they can find out the similarities between the two. But fake apologies.
I know, right?
Thank you
so much, Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you.
Me Time with Frangela.